Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply confusing, honestly kind of maddening emotional pattern. Why rejection can make you want someone more. If you've ever felt completely spun around because someone suddenly withdrew their affection, well, we're going to bring some much-needed clarity to exactly what's going on in your brain. Yesterday, you were uncertain. Today, they rejected you, and suddenly you feel sure. Man, it is an incredibly jarring contradiction, right? One minute you're genuinely on the fence about someone, you're taking your time, maybe even pulling away a little bit yourself. But the second they walk away or say no, it's like a switch flips in your head. Suddenly you feel this absolute burning certainty that they are the one. So what does this all mean? Let's unpack exactly why that happens. Okay, part one, the sudden reversal and why loss changes motivation. Let's dive into this. Let's walk through this timeline to see a classic illustration of this reversal. So in phase one, we've got ambivalence. While the other person is available and present, you might be totally uncertain about commitment, kind of taking it or leaving it. But then we hit phase two, refusal. The other person leaves, sets a firm boundary, or just pulls back their availability. And almost instantly, boom, we arrive at phase three, intense focus. Your desire absolutely spikes. Suddenly, all your memories of the relationship are bathed in this golden, positive light. Any potential rivals feel incredibly threatening, and getting them back feels absolutely essential. But here's the crucial insight. This does not automatically prove your sudden desire is, well, true love. What it actually shows us is that the loss itself has entirely changed your motivational context. Moving on to part two, mechanisms of increased desire, or the psychology behind the urge. So, the psychological evidence points to four primary mechanisms firing off in your brain here. First up, attachment activation. Basically, when a separation is threatened, our nervous system panics and tries to restore proximity. Second, goal obstruction. Third is uncertainty. You know, sometimes rejection isn't a clean break. A not right now can leave you stuck in a brutal loop of ambiguity. And fourth, contingent self-worth. Now, when a relationship ends, these four distinct systems can actually activate all at the exact same time. And together, they create an incredibly powerful, very convincing illusion of certainty. Let's look a little closer at two of these systems. Now, what's really interesting here is this idea of contingent self-worth. If your self-esteem is heavily dependent on being romantically accepted, a rejection doesn't just feel like the end of a compatibility test with one specific person. No, it feels like a devastating, deeply personal piece of information about your overall value. When this happens, a blow to our self-worth can very easily masquerade as intense romantic desire. We feel like we literally need them back, but in reality, what we really need is just to have our self-esteem restored. And then we have goal obstruction. Research shows that romantic love involves deep motivation and goal-directed pursuit. We are actively trying to get somewhere. So logically, when a highly important goal is suddenly blocked by a rejection, our attention naturally fixates on that obstacle. Our brains go into absolute overdrive, trying to find possible routes around the refusal. It's just a natural cognitive response to a blocked path, kind of like a GPS recalculating when you hit a roadblock. All right, part three, the lover's pattern map. We're mapping the internal system. Every pattern starts with a spark, right? On the left, we have the external trigger. That's the rejection, the withdrawal, the boundary, or just reduced availability. But contrast that with the right side, the absolute chaotic internal activation it creates within us. We immediately experience profound feelings of loss, threat, urgency, sometimes shame, and a deep sense of emotional protest. The external event is simple, but the internal reaction is massive. And this table breaks down exactly how our internal systems align to try and undo that rejection. Categorized by the four suits. Let's walk through it. Look at hearts. That's our motivation for closeness. The internal monologue is, I want connection, I want repair, I just want to be chosen. Spades represent our protection against shame, where we're thinking, I fear replacement, insignificance, or permanent loss. Diamonds represent meaning, or our interpretation of worth. That's part of us saying, winning them back would prove my value. And finally, clubs represent our behavior, the actual pursuit or monitoring, where we try to persuade, perform, or idealize them. You can see how all four suits lock together to drive you toward getting that person back. But engaging in this pattern definitely has a cost. Look, there is an immediate reward when we pursue someone who pulled away. We feel a surge of hope, renewed agency, and we get a temporary repair of our wounded self-worth just by taking action. But look at the long-term consequence on the right. Continuing this pursuit may drastically increase your emotional investment without actually increasing any reciprocity from the other person. Basically, you end up pouring all your energy into a void.
Now, because difficulty can sometimes increase wanting, people often assume playing hard to get is a good tactic. Let me be clear. It is not a reliable relationship strategy. While perceived scarcity can trigger a pursuit, it can just as easily reduce liking and push people away entirely. Furthermore, a refusal or a boundary must always be respected. Rejection is an answer, guys. It's not a strategy to be played with.
Part 4. The central distinction. What are you really seeking? So the crucial point is this. After a rejection, you might feel a massive pull toward the person, but it could be coming from two entirely different places. Motivation A is simply, I want this relationship. But motivation B is, I need the rejection to become acceptance. And here is the really tricky part. These two motivations can feel absolutely identical in your body. But motivation B isn't actually about the other person. It's about repairing our own wounded meaning. It's the belief that if they choose us again, it magically changes the story from I was rejected to I was always important.
If you find yourself stuck in this loop, here is your interruption point. Step 1. You must consciously separate your desire for the actual person from your urgent desire to just reverse the terrible feeling of rejection. Step 2. You need to determine what respecting their rejection actually requires from you behaviorally. Doing this brings agency back to you in a healthy, grounded way, instead of just reacting to the panic. Bringing us to part 5, the final reflection and questions for reality. I really want you to ask yourself, honestly, what actually increased when they walked away? Did your genuine appreciation of your compatibility increase? Or was it just your fear of losing access? Was it your wounded self-worth crying out for validation? Was it the sudden scarcity and uncertainty, or simply a longing for the comfortable emotional state you had before? You need to look at the evidence accumulating over time. Which of these factors is truly driving your urgency right now? And this brings us to the absolute core thesis of our explainer today. If you remember one thing, please let it be this. A stronger urge is not automatically stronger compatibility. Just because you want them more, now that they're gone, for sure does not mean they're a better fit for you than they were yesterday. I'm going to leave you with this final, powerful question to carry into your real life. When you feel that sudden, desperate pull after someone pulls away, do you want the person, or do you just want the emotional reversal of being chosen? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. This has been an explainer for the Lovers Pattern Loop series. Remember to observe your patterns, know it repeats, and I'll catch you in the next one.